mixing raw materials together with feed. So these are the raw materials. This is bone meal, and this is broiler premise, and this is lysine, and this is salt. These are the raw materials which we got on that day. This is wheat, and this one is corn chaff, which you get from pap, from akamu, and this is PKC, palm kernel cake, and this one is mix up of fish meal, corn, soybean meal, beans, groundnut, etc. And this is the New Hope feed. This feed is starter. We normally use starter to mix all these things. So after mixing the raw materials together, we posted the video on our page, so you can check through our page to see the video, because the video is long. We can't join the whole videos together, so we needed to divide the video. So this is the part 2, where we are mixing the raw materials and the feed. One bag is raw materials and one bag is feed. You can see this one is the raw materials, so we'll be mixing them together to formulate 2 bags of feed. Some people have asked me if you can feed your birds with only raw materials, and the answer is no. You cannot give your birds only these raw materials, because it does not contain the necessary nutrients which your birds need. This raw materials is just like chaff. It's just like chaff, so we just add it to the feed to extend the duration of the feed, to increase the quantity of the feed. So in order to also increase the quality, we add soybean meal and some proteins like fish meal. We add them also to the feed to increase the quality. So we'll be dividing and sharing the feed in order to know how many bags or how many pens which we got in total. This New Hope feed, when we opened it, we have removed almost 1 pint from it, because we were feeding the birds from there before we started mixing these things. So this New Hope will be about 8 pint, while these raw materials is about 8 pint of raw materials. So if you are watching this video, please make sure you watch to the end. A lot of people have been asking, do we mix this for day-old chicks? But we don't mix this for day-old chicks. When they are still chicks, we don't alter their feed. We give them pure feed. We give them pure New Hope 510. And also, if you want to mix all these things for your birds, you need to make sure you use a professional feed in order to get a very good result. If you use commercial feed, it will not give you a good result. You know what it is. So that's why we are using this New Hope 510. And also, you need to use starter, because if you use finisher, it cannot be able to mix with this feed. It cannot be able to mix it cannot be able to mix with the feed. So you can see how we are doing it. We add 1 pint from the feed and we add 1 pint from the raw materials. So this is how we'll be doing it until the feed and the raw materials are well mixed together, and then we'll be feeding the birds from here. Tomorrow we'll make them 5 weeks old, and we start feeding them with this mixture from 4 weeks above. From 4 weeks, when they have started eating so much, that's when we start feeding them with this mixture. So if you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. If you have any observation, drop it in the comment section. If you have any contribution, drop it in the comment section. And if you have any suggestion, drop it in the comment section so we can all learn. You know what it is. There are other raw materials which are not actually present in these materials, so we are only using the ones we are able to get, which we think is necessary at the moment. So this is about 3 paint, so we are only using the raw materials which is available. The raw materials which we are using in this particular mixture include bone meal, broiler premise, lysine, salt, wheat, corn chaff, PKC which stands for palm kernel cake, and then a mixture of corn, beans, soybean meal, fish meal, and the rest of them. If you started watching from the beginning, you will see the raw materials which we used for this particular mix up. We have done a lot of this mixture for a long time. We normally do it once the beds mature. So we have 4 paints each in these bags, and we add more feed, we add more raw material. We keep on mixing them until they are well mixed up, and we start feeding the birds with it. When you are feeding your birds with these raw materials, with this mixture, you need to make sure you treat them anti-coccidial. Like these birds we are giving this thing, we just completed 4 days preventive treatment of anti-coccidial. So we just gave them anti-coccidial for 4 days. So there will be nothing like they are pulling this or they are pulling that. The next treatment which they are going to receive will be deworming. So we deworm them after 2 days of giving them ordinary water. If you are watching this video, you can go through our page and check out all the previous videos which we have been dropping on this particular chicks. Even when we buy another set of birds, we will also mix their feed as they grow. We don't normally use finisher. This is how we formulate our own finisher. So the only thing is that we don't have the machine to turn it to pellets. So we have 5 paint here and 5 paint here. Normally we need about 10 paints of raw materials to go to 1 bag of feed. So you can see this one is not even filled up. That's because we have been feeding the birds from the feed. So we mix everything together and we will be feeding these birds with it, and we are mixing these things to extend the duration of this feed. Normally 1 bag, 49 birds, they consume 1 bag in 3 days, 3 to 4 days. 1 bag is down. But after mixing these things, at least it will now extend to 7 to 8 days. Now we'll be using it 7 to 8 days instead of 3 to 4 days. So that's why we are mixing these things, and as long as we are using New Hope, it will still give us a good result. And whenever we mix these things in the feed, we don't starve the birds. You don't mix their feed and also starve them. After mixing the feed, you need to make sure you feed them very well. So we'll be dropping more updates on these raw materials. We have been dropping updates on it. So make sure you follow up our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, so you'll be seeing more updates as we drop them. You know what it is. If you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. You can see the video is already long. Nice one. We have about 7 paint, I think. So this is how we mix the raw materials with the feed. We try to make sure it is equally mixed with the feed. So we mix 1 paint from raw material, 1 paint from the feed. You can see we have about 8 paint each from this mix. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. You can see how it looks. You can see the quantity is not up to 9 paints. It's about 8 paint each. The remaining one now will be giving it to the birds. You can see how it looks. Now we'll be feeding the birds with this. More updates will be dropping shortly. Don't forget to like, share and drop a comment. You know what it is.